There's no magical button. There it is.
Squirtle. Square. This square is a Bisbee's. That's what it's called. Woo! Oh, tell me about zoom in.
Go out and come back. You think? Okay, get out of here. If you're watching this on the replay, bear with us just a second because we're trying to get our guest speaker, Kathy Wright, in on the action here. So I think here's one person. Is that you?
We can try.
God, that's terrible. Hi, Linda. Bear with us just a second. We're on a little early, just trying to navigate the challenge of getting a second person on here. Hi, Maureen. She says she's on the screen, but she doesn't see me on the page yet. Huh. If you're here, hi. We're here a little early because we're having some tough technical difficulties trying to get our guest speaker on tonight. We're gonna get it. I promise we are. Thanks, Mike. Anything? If you're here, hi, welcome to Live at 5. We're a little bit early. We actually got on a little early so we could make sure that we didn't have any technical difficulties getting our guest speaker on. And guess what? We're having technical difficulties. That's so weird. A banner just came up on my phone saying that I just now went live. I don't know. Facebook's being super strange tonight. And I'm also doing this Live at 5 from a phone this time instead of a laptop. So if I look a little different, that's why. How's everybody doing tonight? TGIF, right? Thank you, Marianne. You rock. Marianne and Sue Clark and Jan Day and the whole crew of Trilogy getting the word out in Trilogy about Emily Gollinger. Stuffing all those tubes. I don't know how many tubes there are. Something like, what are there, 3,000 or some odd? I don't even know. But they are boots on the ground warriors. Yes, they are. Thank you, Marianne. Hi, Leslie.
Yeah, let's try that, and if not, we'll exit out and get back in also if she's okay.
Make sure you're sharing this live on your Facebook page so more people know what's happening. Hey, Jason, Lyra. Just a minor technical difficulty getting our guest speaker on tonight. It's going to happen. I'm determined. Yay, we got her. All right. Stand by just 1 second. It is adding Kathy Wright to the Zoom or to the live, so we'll be able to see her lovely face in just a second. And the connection failed. Let's give it one more try. We can do it. Cross your fingers. So this is probably the most important topic that I will cover in Live at 5, I think so far this election season, which is Measure J. I was telling Kathy that I do get a lot of questions about it. You know, I do my very best to answer. Still connection failed. Yeah. Hold on, I'm talking to my campaign manager. And my campaign manager, Junior. But yeah, I do believe that, let me try it again. I am endorsing Measure J for this year's election, and I want you guys to know why. And I think that the best person who can tell you about that is Kathy Wright. Yes, Kathy said, hi everyone, thanks for your patience. I appreciate you, Kathy. It's having a hard time adding you, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's my internet connection or yours, or maybe a combination of the two. But it is not working, Pete. Hold on just 1 second. Let's try this one more time. It says it's adding, but then it doesn't actually add. Oh, can we do it? Can we do it? Is everybody's fingers crossed and toes? As I like to tell my kids all the time, it's like cross your fingers and your toes, and no, it did not work. Pete's gonna see if he can come up with a different way. Stand by, Kathy. Do I need to, oh, should I do this one? Should I just add her like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me do that, okay. Okay, Kathy, I may have figured it out. We may be cooking with gas now. Took myself off the internet. We'll see if that works. Yes, Patricia, you are early. I'm so proud of you. Way to do it. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Jen. As usual, Jen, my sister, will be spamming the comments with links to everything that me and Kathy are talking about tonight. Because we want to make sure that you guys are getting the information straight from the source. Yeah, maybe Kathy. Maybe, well, let me try adding you. I'm adding you one more time, Kathy. We'll see if that works. And then if not, maybe go all the way out and come back in. So this is why we logged on early. I had a sneaking suspicion we were going to have some Facebook moments. Please make sure you're sharing this on your page so we can get, yeah, it failed again. It failed again. Kathy, if you want to go out and come back in, let's try it again. I don't want to, I may have to go out and come back in myself, and that really don't want to do that. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie said she voted for me today. I appreciate it. If you are early voting, I appreciate you too. Yes, technical difficulties, Patricia. Remember that you can drop off your ballot anytime between now and November 3rd at the River Delta Unified School District office, which the address is 445 Montezuma Street. Again, that box will be there until November 2nd. On November 3rd, that box moves to your polling location, which is either 45 Main Street, which is the community center on Main Street, or the Delta Club in Trilogy. So you can still drop your ballot off there. You don't have to go in and vote if you don't want to. I am an in-person voter, so I will be voting live and in person at my polling place on November 3rd. If you are considering mailing your ballot in, please do so early. It is recommended that give it as much time as possible. Mary Beth, hello, I love you so much. Grandma Mary Beth's on. Anna says hi, Grandma Mary Beth. So if you're considering mailing in your ballot, please do so as soon as possible. They do anticipate maybe some delays, and remember that you only have 5 days after November 3rd in order for your vote to be counted. Once that 5 days expires, they will not count your vote anymore. Okay, Kathy, Kathy, you were there and now you're gone. And now you're back? But I can't add you. Yeah, I think we got it. All right, Kathy, let's give it a shot here. I don't know about that, Patricia, about the stamp thing. It is, it's already postage paid, so you don't need to put a stamp on it. I don't know why that would make it go any faster, but, I mean, heck, I mean, voting is really important this election, so whatever you got to do to get it there, get it there. It's still not working, Pete.
Is she on the Wi-Fi? Is she on her Wi-Fi?
Can you call her again? Click the button there.
We can't do it. He's not on Zoom.
Stand by, guys. Sorry. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard, Patricia said, I don't know, that's all I was told. I vote in person myself. Yeah, there's a lot of, frankly, around voting, it's kind of like, there's a lot of wives' tales. Like, I know people who wear lucky socks to the election box. So, you got to go with what you know. Just make sure you get that ballot in. Thank you, Leslie. I'm looking forward to change too. I think I'm really actually very excited about what Rio Vista could look like this time next year with some change on the city council. I was actually just thinking the other day, I was like, oh my God, we could really, Rio Vista has so much potential. I've always thought it had potential. Otherwise I wouldn't have lived here for 40 years. So just imagine if we became a tourist destination. Just imagine if we were a worker family friendly community. I mean, the possibilities are really endless for us. So we're trying really hard to get Kathy on, guys, and while we're doing that, I will just, she does want to be part of my live, which is great. So let me just go over some of the rules of the road. If you've never joined me for a live at 5 before, this is kind of the skinny. I do have 3 kids and 2 dogs and 3 cats and some lizards and a turtle and all that. So if you see anything in the background, don't worry about it. We've got it completely under control. We will have Kathy on, I'm determined, and she's going to talk to us a lot about Measure J, and she will take your questions, maybe, and then we'll wrap up at the end for any questions about anything that you have for me. Usually we go, a couple hours on these things, and I like it, so I like to answer questions, so please feel free to ask me anything that you are curious about or that I haven't already addressed tonight. This is our, I don't know, like our 10th live at 5, and we've only got 2 more to go before Election Day. No, still not working. I love you, Kathy. I don't know why this isn't working. I know, I'm gonna get there.
Okay, so she covered your question. So you have the button at the bottom now.
Stand by just a second, guys. I'm sorry. So, funny story. I've never done a Facebook Live with another person. But I was told it was really easy, and then we watched a YouTube video and went, oh God, it is easy. Just as long as you're on a phone, it's easy peasy. It might have something to do with the internet quality in Rio Vista. I'm just saying. I'll go get my jammies on if I can. I love you, Patricia. Go put your jammies on. And how is the Beardy? The Beardy's doing great. In fact, I'll have Henry grab him so you can see him, if you don't mind. Thanks, Jed. She says, you can do it. We believe in you. Also, these are broadcast. We will leave these lives up on my Facebook for you to watch later if you want to. And they're also broadcast on YouTube. So if I'm reading the questions and it sounds wonky, that's why. It's for our YouTube viewers, which we have quite a few of. And it does sound funny if you don't read the questions. They're like, what are you talking about, lady? Yes, I agree. Not only a boating destination, Leslie, but this used to be a windsurfing destination. There was a time when we had like the Rio Vista Pro-Am here, which was a major windsurfing competition, which brought a lot of people to town. I really miss those days. It really was an economy driver. It was a really good thing, taking advantage of resources we already have. Here is the Bearded Dragon, Patricia.
Probably doesn't like the ring light.
Here's Spike. He probably does not like the ring light. Kathy, let's do this. Come on. We can do it. We can do it. Please make sure you're sharing on your pages. It did not work.
So are you getting a confirmation screen after she accepts it?
What time is it? How late are we? Hi, Samantha. Yeah, he got bigger. He's a little fatty. Patricia. He's very well fed. I'll just put it that way. And spoiled rotten. Well, I could just put her on speakerphone.
That's true.
I don't know what to do because I want them to hear from her.
So Emily's thought process is she could put you on speakerphone at least so that you could have a conversation and she could read the questions, or you could read the questions on what you're watching.
Hi, Patty. I haven't seen you in a while. Are you doing okay? So
that would work.
So the campaign manager and the superintendent of schools are working out some details right now to see if we can figure out how to throw some duct tape on this thing and make it work. because that's what we do. We solve problems. Both Kathy and I, we're problem solvers. So, they're coming up with a solution. I believe in them. So let me just reiterate something that we talked about. If you haven't had a chance to watch my Live at 5 where we talked about what can the city do for schools, for the school district, please go back and do so. It was probably my favorite Live at 5 we've done so far, just because there's just a wealth of information about other cities and what they're doing in, in their schools and how they are making those collaborative relationships work. It's something I believe very strongly in that has been missing from Rio Vista for a long time, and you can tell. Okay. Pete just fell into the room. Kathy, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everybody else hear Kathy on the phone? On the
Hello,
live?
everybody.
Can you guys shoot me some thumbs up if you can hear Kathy?
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Oh, we got thumbs up, Kathy.
Oh, good. Okay, at least we can get audio in.
Yes, so we can get audio. I don't know why it's not working. It's, technology, isn't it great?
Yeah, great. But we got it. We can still make this happen, right?
That's right. So, so I will just go ahead and introduce you, Kathy.
Okay.
Kathy is a 5th generation Rio Vistan. Is that true, Kathy?
Yes.
She's got me beat by one generation. Well, she's got my husband beat by one generation. Not that we're keeping track or anything. And I don't know if you were the first or the first in a long time of a local person who's the superintendent of schools, who not only grew up in this school district, attending schools here, but really started your career here and is just all in for River Delta School District. Is that a correct assertion?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so I'm not sure either because I kind of went back, but I know some superintendents have moved to town, but then, but I think born and raised may be the first. So honored to be able to serve everybody in the community. I know we feel the same way, you and I, Emily. So, it's just my honor and my pleasure to serve everybody.
And we're lucky to have you, Kathy. So I get a lot of questions about Measure J. I'm, of course, endorsing Measure J because, like I was saying, I did a Live at 5 earlier in the year or the election season about the schools really supporting the school districts and ways that we can do that. And one of the things that was foremost on my list was when the school district puts forth a bond measure, it's up to the city to support the bond measure. I think that that's, paramount for our city officials to say, you guys have done the work and you know what it needs, and so we're going to support you. Can you tell us a little bit about Measure J?
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to. And thank you so much, Emily. I know that we have a really interesting opportunity for us all, and it is a commitment on each one of us as citizens for this, and I understand that. And I think it is very, it's my honor to be able to be with you tonight, and I know that everybody who tunes in is thirsty for the knowledge and for you to provide this opportunity for citizens to be able to have just some knowledge around things that are going on as opposed to just past information on. So I really appreciate the time to be able to spend with you all tonight. So, so I can, as superintendent, I can provide just factual information about Measure J, and I cannot participate in campaigning during my work hours, but as a citizen outside of work hours, I am able to do things with that. So today, I'm just kind of serving as factual information since I am sitting in my office. So I just wanted to make that people aware of that. Apparently, there's some real interesting things that go on with school bonds and people who are just set up to oppose them. So I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in so that you can have the facts, and I appreciate everybody's thirst for the knowledge. So River Delta is really fortunate to have a dedicated group of parents and citizens who are dedicating their time right now to supporting the support of Measure J. And you can see around town, along with Emily's signs, a lot of the Measure J are going up everywhere, and so that's really exciting. And I thank all those people who are putting all that time into it. I'm sure that Emily, you feel the same about your campaign too. Measure J requires 55% of the voters to be able to vote yes on it in order for it to pass, in order for us to make some of these much needed improvements on the schools. And so approximately 1 year ago, River Delta approved and paid for a comprehensive analysis of every school site in the district. And so what we were able to do is get a report from that analysis, and it analyzes all the details of things that need to be done at the schools. And so they recommended some repairs, and the repairs were identified in 3 categories. And so they call it Category 1, which is immediate, and then Category 2, which is substantial need there, and then Category 3 means that it's adequate. It could use some attention, but it's adequate at this time. So although the report was categorized into the types of repairs, types of urgency, it doesn't mean that the citizens can't choose in Category 2 and 3 when we do get the bond from the state if it does pass. So it's important to remember that the citizens can recommend particular repairs outside of the Category 1 if they wanted to the Board of Trustees for improvements. So of the Category 1 improvements, there were some very common ones that for our area, which is called SFID 1, which includes all the Rio Vista schools in Isleton, that they all stay in the same area, which is for Measure J. Anything north of Isleton is in SFID 2, and that's Measure K, and they don't have anything to do with one another. So we're not voting on their measure, and they're not voting on ours, and our money can't be spent on theirs, and their money can't be spent on ours. So that's very important to understand. But of the Category 1s in Isleton and the Rio Vista schools, there are some very common things that were pointed out in the report for the analysis of sites. And so what I wanted to do tonight is just give you some of those common things that were in Category 1. There are other Category 1 repairs that they recommended, but I thought it would be helpful for people to know what the most immediate things are. And number 1 on that list was to bring all of our school sites up to ADA compliance. Obviously, that's very important for students with disabilities, including grandparents that would be on site, including our older and more mature citizens of our town being able to use it, taking out facility use requests to be able to use them. So we want to make sure that things are ADA compliant. That's absolutely important for this day and age, that we wouldn't be so behind that we couldn't offer a facility to people, or that people with disabilities couldn't access the school in the way that all people would be able to access the school. So that's super important. Included in that, also in that Category 1 that was common between all 4 schools, is the idea of health and safety, which we're all pretty heightened around right now. And so what they noticed is that all of our fire alarm systems are in great need of repair. So in order to alarm that there is fire or any type of potential fire on the sites, that we need to upgrade those systems to keep everyone safe in the school. And then in addition to that, we need to be able to upgrade the bell system, the speaker system. And as we know, we cross our fingers that nothing would ever happen to our schools in terms of school shooters and that situation. But we need to be able to verbally alert people when they need to lock down. And our speaker and bell systems are not up to speed in terms of they're not to the upgraded system to where we could be able to do that and alert people when there is danger on campus, regardless of what type of danger it is. So the safety is super important on site, and we want to make sure all of our systems work in that situation. In addition to that, security cameras. They say our security cameras are much they're lacking in terms of the in comparison to other schools and what they're able to do in terms of surveillance. And it also helps the communities that you live, when you live in that area, they also pick up on things that could be happening in the neighborhoods, because if we have an upgraded system, we can help the surrounding neighbors around the school be able to understand what's going on in the neighborhood too, so we can help one another in that situation. And then also the electrical upgrades at the schools. We have really old electrical wiring, and that can be a really scary thing. Those of you who may have known me when I was younger know that my house, we lived in the school housing. My mom was a librarian at Rio Vista High School. We used to open it up at night to be able to have some work, some kids working at nighttime at the library. And I lived in school housing at that time. We were low socioeconomic kids, and so we lived in the school housing right by the buses, so it's right in back of the Union Baptist Church, and that house burnt down because of to the ground when I was 5, as I was living in it, because of electrical wiring being old. And so that is near and dear to my heart, because it's very traumatic to go through something like that, and especially so many kids going to our schools. We don't want something like that to happen during school time. So electrical wiring, super important to upgrade. And these are all very large infrastructure type of things, and sometimes we don't see the effects of that with our naked eye just looking at the school, but all really important things to have happen at the schools. And like I said, the Category 1, those are Category 1s in common amongst all 4 schools, but there are other Category 1 repairs and Category 2 and 3 repairs too. So, and it's up to the citizens and this Board of Trustees to decide what needs to go on and what they want to have happen to the schools. But there is an oversight committee of citizens that need to oversee what's going on, make sure those things that they recommended do go on, and then also make sure that the money is being spent appropriately, and that we're getting bids for things, getting the best price for things, and working on that. So my job would be to facilitate those committees. And then I also wanted to make sure that everybody understands that the school district is required to put out a survey to survey the citizens about where they would stand on a bond measure before putting it on the ballot. So we surveyed our citizens, and you may have received an email or possibly a phone call from the surveying company. That can always be interesting because, we're very personable in our town, right? And so when they call, it sounds pretty dry, but, I appreciate anybody who did answer those questions. And what we learned from that survey is that 60% of the voters, after hearing something about it, and then also hearing opposition about the school district, any negative things that have happened, and we know that we've had some some stuff go on in our school district and in our past, and so we want to be honest about that. We brought up the opposition, we gave some education, and then how many voters would really vote for this school bond? And we were at 60% of the voters would vote yes on the school bond. So what's important to understand about surveys is that you must calculate a margin of error, either in the negative side or on the positive side. And so for the Rio Vista Ileton area, which is called SFID 1, there is a margin of error of 6.3. And so if you take 60% and you subtract 6.3, you go below the 55% voter rate to be able to pass the bond. But if you add it to it, you're way above that 55%. But in that situation, our Board of Trustees voted on that and said, okay, we know that the margin of error goes below the 55%, but we want to put this in the hands of our citizens about what they want for their schools, obviously for the children, but also for our greater community, because it's going to be used. Our facilities should be available, very readily available to any group who wants to use them. And so that includes our, adults or people who don't have children in the schools anymore, or possibly our retired community. So we want to embrace all of those people with our facilities, and having them upgraded is the way to do that. In particular, we have, as you know, our cafeteria. Some of our cafeterias are really needing some TLC. You see that at Riverview and Ileton, and and Rio Vista High School, obviously DHY got to the Tapella Center, and that's, upgraded, but still needs a few repairs now that it's been around for a while. So those are really important areas because people could be using those for fundraisers and things like that. So that is, so then the Board of Trustees decided we're going to let the citizens decide on this. I want you to know that it does cost quite a bit to put something on the ballot. I'm sure that if you have had any experience with that, for us it costs $30,000 because we are in 3 counties. Wow. Our school district is in 3 counties, so we have to pay a fee because we're tri-county. And that's may or may not sound fair, but it is what it is, and we live with that type of situation on a lot of different aspects. But so if Measure J does pass with the voters, the property owners, people who own property and pay property tax, would be taxed in their property tax, and that is the money that would be generated in order to generate funds for improvements on the sites. So if the bond does pass, we will immediately get $15.2 million to start repairing our schools. 2 years later, we will receive another 15.2, and then 2 years after that, we would receive another 15.3. So that's how much is generated from the value of all of our properties, all of our homes that we own in the area. Property owners, they would be the ones who would be taxed on this in our tax bond, and that would be approximately $60 per every 100,000. So if your house is worth $300,000, you would give an extra $180 in your tax bill for the schools. So that's how it's calculated. That number does fluctuate based on our values, right? So if our values go down, then our property tax for the bond would go down. If it goes up, it fluctuates in that way. We fluctuated quite a bit over the years, so it's hard to say if that would be for the whole amount of time, but it would be, like I said, distributed to the schools in 3 series is what they call it. Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3, and they're 15.2, 15.2, and 15.3. So $million. So it's a total of $45.7 million to the school districts over those 3 series. And again, that's up to the citizens and the Board of Trustees to decide what would be done based on those things that we did in the analysis, and then being able to move forward with the oversight committee, making sure that everything happens in terms of that. So some of the things you will see on the ballot, I can see that Jen already put that in the chat there, exactly what's on the ballot there. Super appreciative of that. Thank you, Jen, for keeping us updated there. Are things like fire safety and leaky roofs and things that are of the major concern in terms of safety, and that's really one of the things that we want to make sure that the kids are safe, and especially during these times. So we want to make sure everything is up to the codes and compliances with health and safety. So with that, I would like to know if anybody has any questions. I can't really see any questions coming up, but maybe that's because you can see them. Emily, is that true?
Yes, I can see. Well, I have to put on my reading glasses because I'm old, Kathy. It's a little running joke on the Live at 5s about how I get older every day.
Happens to the best of us, right?
Louise. So I actually have a question for you, if you don't mind, Kathy. Can you talk?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I know that a lot of the, some of the feedback that I've gotten about Measure J, beyond just, sort of the objection to a rooftop tax as it is, because, Measure O, which is also on the ballot, that's a renewal of a sales tax you're already paying. This would be a new property addition to your property taxes that you haven't been paying. And so I know I've heard a lot of feedback about, why aren't we just building a new school? Why are we throwing good money after bad? Can you talk a little bit about, going forward, the plan? Obviously, if we were to build a brand new school, that would be great, but that's really up to the developer fees and, the renegotiation of those developer fees to make sure that those funds are included. And really, if they build a new school, that doesn't mean that our existing schools are going to go away. Is that correct, Kathy?
Yes, that's correct. So it's been very interesting understanding where we came from and and what happened in the past, and I have done a pretty careful analysis of every developer that's ever signed an agreement with the city and what exactly happened during that time. When was the school district become a part of those discussions? And did we have any negotiation power, if you will? Did they already have the okay to build and then came to us later, and then they even have the ticket to ride, and now we have to negotiate the school fees? And so it was very interesting. Each developer was very different. I have lots of information on that. But what we really want the developers to do to stand up and provide our children adequate schooling facilities if they're going to make the money off of the developer fees, right? So the developer fees is one thing that comes directly from the developer, and then the impact fee comes from the people who buy the house. So that impact fee comes to the school district, and then those combined would end up being the money that would be used for a new school. And I know there's so many people who said, we're not going to buy the school for these developers. These developers need to stand up and buy the school for the students and for the kids that move into the homes that are built. And so the real impact there was that we would have citizens who wanted a school bond to fix the schools we have, because they're not going to be closed, but that the developers would be responsible for paying for the new schools. So that was loud and clear that we would rather pay for a bond for improvements rather than pay for what the developers really should be paying for. So we're kind of hopeful that maybe we can renegotiate some of the deals that were already made clear back to 1991. So lots more on that, though, as we move forward and get in the right direction here, right, Emily?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to do things a little differently going forward, I hope.
Yeah.
The school district maybe should be the first entity consulted when we enter development agreements, not the last one. Roxanne Cooper has a question. Who would people and this is funny, who would people contact if they're interested in doing volunteer work for things we might be missing in the curriculum? In my house alone, we've got a potential debate coach and a drama teacher.
Oh, okay. So in terms of being fingerprinted and helping within the schools for like the lacking parts of the curriculum that, in small schools are difficult to cover. Is that what the question is about?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yes. So it would be directly with the principal. Right now, we are hoping, and in just this next week or so, you're going to see some advertised for people who would be willing to help out in the schools as we enter back into hybrid. We have some high-risk teachers, and that's going to be really important to get the, if anybody is willing to help and be fingerprinted, get in there, do some monitoring, do some helping in the schools. We want to get people active in this. It is, we understand that there are people who are also at risk. So obviously we don't hold anything against anybody, but just anybody who's wanting to do that and help out would be greatly appreciated. So yes, the school principal would be the one to contact and be able to offer you those kinds of services. And we could get, especially in the times when we need people who are supervising kids, we have to kind of have a higher level of security, and so that fingerprinting, we did do the TB test, but it's got a level that's higher than that right now, is just getting fingerprinted. So Rio Vista PD fingerprints at the office there where the sheriffs are housed out of, fingerprints the
live scan.
Candidates.
Live scan? Is that what it is?
Yeah, live scan, yes.
And Roxanne, that is, my sister's posting the links to all the schools in the comments. The principal at the high school is Vicki Turk. The principal at Riverview Elementary Middle School is Marcy Rossi, and the principal at the elementary school is Nick Casey. So Jen's going to post the link in the comments so you can go directly to that. That is actually one of the things that we talked about in my Live at 5 about schools, is really engaging the community in a volunteer role in our schools. And how can, obviously as a mayor with 3 small kids in schools, I'm hoping I'm modeling that behavior and encouraging it, that we need more parents involved. Do you guys have any more questions about Measure J? I get a lot of offline questions, so this is your chance to ask, get it straight from the source. And Kathy, I know that, the repairs that are needed at our schools are not sexy repairs. You know, it's kind of hard to get people excited about new toilets, but really we're talking about some pretty, if you go, they have a Facebook page now, Friends, and I'll link that too. That is Friends of River Delta Unified, and they've got some pictures on there that are absolutely, I mean, it's disgusting, y'all. I tell my boys not to use the bathroom at school. Hold it.
I know, first and foremost, I mean, it's up to the citizens, but it's just the facilities in which that they can use in terms of restrooms, super important.
Yes. Yeah, I agree completely.
Cleanliness and safety and health and all that stuff is associated with that. So,
right.
As a citizen, I would say, that would be something I would definitely support if they wanted to do that with money.
And one of the things that's, we were on a Zoom call. Kathy was on a Zoom call with Rio Vision talking about this. And one of the things that Stacia Olson was saying also is that, really it really helps students to have pride in their schools when they don't see their schools crumbling around them. It makes a huge difference in kids' productivity. It makes a difference in their mental well-being. This is an opportunity for the community to really show these students that we're all in. We're invested. We want them to have decent school facilities. You probably can't.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Emily. That's that mental health aspect, that pride in your school part of it. Even though it's, like you said, it may not be, the physical aspect of it, but it actually has an effect on the students that go to school there. And I think our kids are amazing because they're just so humble, and they love their school, but they do know that it's kind of falling apart, but that they just love it anyway. And I just think that I think overall we're very blessed to have students who take care of the school and love the school as much as they do, even though it looks as if it's crumbling around them. So, all the kudos to them. They're just amazing. They're just so resilient and lovely, and especially during these times.
I agree completely. Greg Leaves asked me offline, because he couldn't make it tonight, if you could talk a little bit about the kids potentially going back to school.
Sure.
Okay.
About the reopening
yes.
schools?
Yes.
So, in terms of the kids going back to school and in terms of us opening our physical buildings, there's quite a few things that have to be make sure that we have been basically inspected on before we can open up the buildings. As you know, we're a government agency, so we have to abide by the state and county public health officials. And so we have many different aspects that we need to create plans for that. And so today on the website with the first draft of our reopening plan, which is called the Hybrid Learning Plan. And the hybrid system is created by thousands of school district superintendents across the nation in order to abide by governor or executive orders on social distancing. So if we didn't have those rules in place and being 6 feet apart and having masks and all the other things that are associated with that, we would be able to bring all the kids back. But as long as those executive orders are in place by the government, we need to abide by that. So in making sure that everybody is very, very safe. So as you know, we started right when school ended, started planning for a hybrid system where kids would go to school 2 days in person and then work on their work on the other 2 days, and then on Wednesday they would all be remote learning. But then on July 17th, it all came to like a 180 switch around from the governor saying everybody would be remote for the start of school, which is what we're doing now, our remote learning plan. So we have finished our hybrid learning plan. It is on the website along with our amazing nurses. Our nurses have just been rock stars. This is, obviously right in their area and their profession. They're a profession within a profession. And so, they're so patient with us, and so super appreciative that they wrote the most amazing health and safety plan. It's also on the website. It's has all of the details about what they're going to make sure we are doing and monitoring in terms of health and safety. So those two plans need to be written, as well as we needed to provide COVID testing for our staff. and possibly any student who was experiencing symptoms that their doctor said that they needed to have testing. So we have just finalized that testing will be at Walnut Grove School once a week for our staff. So that's been put in place. That's one of our things on our checklist that we needed to do. And so that has come into play also, as well as our transportation system. As you guys all know, it's very complicated, and we have lots of islands and ferries and bridges, and trying to figure out how are we going to bus everybody who needs transportation if you can only fit one student every other seat on the bus. So that's a very big challenge, and so we obviously have to make an eligibility list and then let it grow there as we get more of our restrictions lifted and be able to bus more students. Food service is another thing that we need to restructure before we can open, and so figuring out how are we going to get all the nutrition for both meals to everybody who may not be in person for the day. So for 3 days a week, they would not be in person. So are we delivering nutrition to them or sending it home with them on their last in-person day? There's a lot to do and not to figure out. But we're looking at an early November date and to be able to reopen. And I don't know if you're all aware of the fact that we have some really serious mental health issues going on with so many of our students, and it is very concerning. Losing sleep, very worrisome about what's going on, especially in our teen community, and we need to be very diligent and very aware that maybe not everybody's struggling with that, but we can't provide somewhere for them to be and be supported by professionals each and every day in terms of them staying stable and healthy. And so for us, waiting till January feels like it would be 2 years in terms of our worry and in terms of our concern for those students. So yes, there will be students who want to remain on remote learning, so we're designing that system as well for them for remote learning. So there's a lot that goes into reopening, and we will not reopen without all of the things in place. We have the county mental health, county officials coming out to inspect our schools. I will be going through each one of the schools with the Chief Educational Service Officer and the Director of SPED, going through with a checklist, and then we're going to bring the county public health possible.